Is Washington confirming aliens or ETs or non-human intelligence, or is it simply confirming mystery? Today's the day, everyone. The Pentagon released 162 declassified UFO files, including videos, FBI interviews, astronaut transcripts, NASA records, military sightings. Will they reveal anything truly eye-opening and not heard of before or mind-blowing? Austin McCullum joins us today.
Oh,
I'm Nick
thank
K.
you.
Bueller. Austin is our producer here on We Are Not Alone.
Yep.
Austin, we have been waiting for this since February.
It's huge.
Yeah, but
Objectively a big day.
yes, and it was in February. Former President Obama said, "Oh, aliens are real." Right. And then
Yeah.
President Trump looked like a deer in the headlights when a reporter told him that. He said, "Well, that was classified. I shouldn't have said that." But he said, President Trump said he would release them, and he did.
Yeah.
So bravo. We'll talk about what we've seen so far. 162 files. That's a
It's a
lot.
lot.
How many have you gone through this morning?
I want to say I've gone through probably just a few dozen.
Okay.
Most of
Yeah.
the videos, and I'll show the website here because again, if you're unfamiliar with what was released today, and this is the website. So this is war.gov/UFO. It is a release from the Defense Department. Basically, this is their way of saying there's such a high interest in UAPs, UFOs. They wanted to send out, I think it's 162 different files, and I'll scroll here and show you. You can click through this yourself. PDFs, images, audio files from NASA transcripts, videos. I mean, I think there's
Right.
17 pages here.
And a lot of military
A
reports.
lot of military reports, but a
Yes.
lot of incredible videos that we really want to show because the point of this, and this is what the Defense Department said, and I think as we've talked with so many people over the last year doing the show, we want to give you that information. We want you to come to your
Yeah.
own
Of
conclusions
course. Of course.
about this. But
Right.
Make, I say we get started.
Okay, I do want to make it clear, kind of
Yes.
repeating what you just said. The Pentagon says the public can draw its own conclusions, kind
Yep.
of like you and I just said, but this is up to you
Yep.
to decide if you think this is worthwhile. All right, let's get started.
All right.
What is the first one you have
So
for
the
us?
first one today, so this is from 2013, and I've seen this one on X a lot today, and I think this was the first one I showed you. So this is from the United States Central Command. They sent in this report of an unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Interesting.
Again, UAP. This went
Mhm.
to the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO, which you will hear this say UAP,
Right.
AARO a lot in this episode we're doing. It's a minute and 46 seconds. And as you can see here, what
Mm.
this is, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it is like an 8-pointed star. You see the movements it's making, especially right here. Um, they really didn't give a lot of information.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at that movement. That is
I know.
so quick.
And this is one of the clearest images I think I've ever seen,
Same.
and maybe we'll see today. I don't know what else you have
Oh,
for
I
us,
got some
but
surprises.
oh, well, I can't wait because what I have seen so far, folks, hasn't been impressive.
I think it falls in line with, and we'll talk about, opinions and feelings
Yeah,
within the community.
yeah.
I've seen a lot of comments today on some Reddit forums, on X about what people make of these
Mhm,
videos and
mhm.
images and reports. But again, this one I find fascinating just because of these movements, the little, what appears to be a
Mhm.
smoke trail
Mm.
coming out of the back of this.
Mhm.
All we
And we
know,
don't know what altitude this was at
nope.
or where it was, right? No details, like
Really,
you
what's in
said.
the super right here, 2013, it is
Yeah.
off a military
Okay.
platform. That is what we're being told.
Okay.
And again,
Okay.
with the spirit of drawing your own conclusions. So let's talk about the second one today. So this one I find
Mm.
equally fascinating.
Okay.
So this is 2014. Again, U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, sent in this report. It's 65 seconds, and you'll notice that white object in the center of your screen. It's being
Mhm.
tracked. Again, this is off a military platform. It was described. So we actually have a little bit of information. There was an accompanying mission report called the DOW, Department of War, Department of Defense, UAP D7. This was described as a diamond-shaped object
Mm.
moving at approximately 434 knots. So that's
Okay.
499 miles an hour.
Right, and that's the speed of an airliner.
Yep. So
Okay.
very fast. It appears very close to the water. But
Yeah,
again,
it
we don't
does.
have
We don't have that perspective.
altitude
Right,
information.
right.
but we do have at least that statement. The observer in this mission report said that this UAP was only detectable via a shortwave infrared sensor, otherwise known as a SWIR.
Mm.
Again, just the little bits and pieces here and there.
Right, right.
As we go through these 5 videos that we've put together today for you, our We Are Not Alone viewers, you'll see, again, most of us are kind of being left to say, okay, I have something visual in
Right,
front of me.
right.
What my conclusion is I draw from that,
Yeah,
that's up to you.
right, right.
But again,
And Austin, I think it's
yeah,
important to note that experts do warn the public that we may confuse advanced military technology
yeah,
with alien craft,
yeah.
right? So be aware of that. This doesn't mean it's from Jupiter, right?
No, it doesn't.
Wait.
Well, I mean, I think that's the healthy part of this,
Right,
and
right.
as this disclosure movement becomes more and more popular. I mean, when this got released today, we saw, it's front page news for CNN,
Oh,
for the New
yeah, of
York Times,
course,
for the
of course,
Washington
of
Post,
course.
and many of the guests we've had on here have talked
Yes.
about in the last, I'd really say 2-3 years, how popular this
Yeah.
movement has become and the interest people have in this. So,
Well, and it's like the government is no longer laughing it off
yeah.
or denying it or covering it up. Now they're finally bringing it out into the public. And the timing is interesting too. But anyway, let's see some
Okay,
more.
we'll see some more. Okay, let's move on. So this one is from U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. So this one's a little longer. So I'm gonna let this one roll because
Okay.
this one has some interesting visual layer separation you'll see here. So again, U.S. Indo-Pacific Command releases video of a UAP to the AARO, which again is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. It's 1 minute and 39 seconds. This is an infrared sensor aboard a U.S. military platform just 2 years ago. We have no oral, no written description of the observation
Okay.
compared to the statement we had in the last clip that we showed. But as you see here, a more clear image of this bright object that appears to be moving quickly. Again,
Yeah.
here's where it gets
Oh, there's a
interesting.
wind farm.
Going through the wind farm.
Oh. Oh, but it's it's hard to tell how high it is though. We
It
don't know how high it
Yeah,
is.
we didn't do any research about the height of this potential wind
Okay.
farm and what this may be, but several
Okay.
hundred feet maybe above sea level, who knows?
Mm.
But again, you can really see the
Interesting.
contrast between it with this infrared sensor between it and the turbines.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting,
Mm.
as it just appears to just kind of zips through there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish that we were given more
Yeah.
information, as we'll talk about a lot of these videos and pictures. And again, I'll show well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
let this video play, but if you go through the war.gov/UFO website and look at this, a lot of them say these are there is a full analysis needed,
Mm-hmm.
and then we are promised that they will be released when completed.
Okay.
So, what we
Well,
want to
we'll
draw
see.
from that, well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
Now, this one we talked about briefly before we came in here.
Mm-hmm.
I have a series of photos here, and these are very interesting, and you'll likely see these around today. So, this goes back to the Apollo 12,
Oh yeah.
and the last photo is
Oh
the
yeah.
Apollo 17 mission.
These are good.
These are
Yeah.
good. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say that these are about 10 seconds each. We laid it out in a timeline for you. So, let's take a look.
And let me just say
Yeah.
that there are many astronauts who have gone on record who have said they have seen things.
Oh,
Most, not all, but most astronauts have come forward saying they have seen things either in low Earth orbit or headed toward the moon or on the moon, like you're going to show us now,
yep.
right? Mm.
And I will say that in the website, which we'll show one more time, because again, you can go and click through these. There are various NASA audio readouts,
Yes.
recordings, and they
Yes.
have printed readouts from these
Yes.
missions. So
Yes.
if you want to see this, please go check it out for yourself. That is what we're encouraging here.
Yes. And it's I read the one from 1965 from Gemini 7,
Yeah.
Frank Borman and Jim Lovell, that they saw a interesting
Mm.
UFO. All right, so let's
All right.
see what you've got.
Let's go to Apollo 12.
Mm.
So these are archival photos from, again, the surface of the moon. This is viewed from the landing site of Apollo 12. And as we show these, you're going to see several things that are highlighted. The contrast is increased. Again, this is what was released to us today from the Department of Defense. It might be hard to make out. We've done our best here to show them to you and present them to you. Not a lot of concrete details except for, again, the Apollo 12 mission. You can see the shadows of the astronauts there on the lunar surface. Some of these I find fascinating, and there's one that's going to be coming up towards the end. I'll talk about that is from the Apollo 17 mission. But again, there are PDF documents on this website that give out some of these transcripts of what they were
Yeah.
seeing, some of their communication back with.
Can you imagine how they felt?
Yes. So this
Seeing
photo,
this?
real quick. This is the three bright lights.
Oh
It's
my
gonna
goodness.
go away, but I'm gonna tell you about this one. So this is from Apollo 17. The DOW, so the Department of War, Department of Defense, they say they've opened a case to investigate the accompanying NASA photographs from Apollo 12, Apollo 17 missions. For 17, this was in December of 1972. And again, it'll come back around, but that image contains 3 dots, a triangular
Yep.
formation.
Which is a very familiar view on
Yes.
Earth, according to observers.
Many eyewitness accounts, as we've had
Yes.
on Michael Schratt before. He is
Yes.
our, I don't want to say resident UFO investigator,
Yeah.
but he spends his time compiling all of these reports, official military documents,
Yes.
government documents, law enforcement documents of people who have said they've seen, firsthand accounts of
Yes.
UAPs, potential aliens. But these photos here, and it'll go back around to Apollo 17. These have never been released. So this
Yeah.
is a new day for disclosure.
Yes, it is.
There's no consensus based on the report that we were given about the nature of the anomaly. There is a new preliminary U.S. government analysis that suggests the image feature in the photo is potentially the result of a physical object in the scene. So it's not just some dust or some light
Right, something on the lens,
reflection.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they did say, and we mentioned this earlier, additionally, and I'm reading this off, as part of this investigation, the government has obtained the original film from the Apollo 17 mission, and the results of a full NASA and DOW analysis will be released when completed.
I wish it could be released now because
Right
I'm
now.
so curious, and I'd love to hear, if possible, from the astronauts themselves.
Yeah.
Um, this is what some naysayers say. The biggest revelation of these files may not be aliens. It may be that the government admits it still doesn't know what some of these objects are. So again, I know we're not saying they're aliens. We're just saying, well, these are suspicious looking UAPs.
These are official
Yeah.
government documents that were released today, kind of a blanket. I don't want to say, and I'll get into our opinions in a little bit, of flood the zone, if you will.
Yeah.
We have the saying in news, a Friday news dump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Putting stuff out on a Friday
Yeah.
where
Yep.
going into the weekend, that
Well
news,
thought of. Well
yeah.
thought of. Yes.
Could it be a distraction? No. But
No.
again, it's interesting, the timing. And I think
It
it's
is.
healthy as a part of this movement to question when things happen, where things happen, and who is giving you that information.
That's right. Yeah. And is this a narrative that we are being fed?
Yeah.
Right?
So last one.
Okay.
I find this one fascinating.
Okay. Because that was pretty good. That one on the moon.
I
love that
love
one.
the Apollo. Look them
17.
up. Apollo 12, 17. If you go through the website, you will see them in here. You can sort by type if you want to. You can see the videos, the PDFs, the images, the transcripts, all of that. So this last one, this is an FBI sketch. 2023.
love
It is a
this one.
composite sketch. We need to get Michael Schratt back.
Oh,
on.
Michael
This
Schratt,
is right up his
yes,
alley.
yes.
So
Oh my goodness.
the FBI says one of its labs rendered this graphic, beautiful color and beautiful detail, depicting multiple eyewitness reports from September of 2023. Where this happened, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see this object, this bronze object that was described. The witnesses say it kind of materialized in the air, well, out of a bright light. It is said to be maybe 130 to 195, 200 feet in length.
It's big.
And then it disappeared instantaneously.
Yeah. And, we've heard about these a lot, and a lot of
Yeah.
military and fighter pilots have reported on this type of
That shape.
shape. That
There was
shape.
one, I wish I could remember, that we had talked about with Michael Schratt with the U.S. carrier. Remember they had the
Yeah, that's
object,
right.
multiple reports, multiple
Yeah.
service members who had went on record. They'd
Yeah.
drawn out the object, similar shape, similar design. I think that one had windows where they
It did.
they depicted seeing someone
did.
waving down at hello.
I know. Yeah.
Um,
But this shape we have heard of before, and even the triangular shape that
Yeah.
they saw on the moon, that jives with a lot of other
It's
reports that we
consistent.
have heard. So it seems quite credible.
So we've gone through these, and again, there is 162 items you can go
Right.
through in
And,
this.
and let me
Yeah.
just say, some of the images I've looked at, and forgive me, I can say my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Okay. Was not impressive, but the New York Times today said, described them as murky images that can be anything. Now, there you go again. You have to filter it through your own life experience and
Yeah.
what you think it can be. I don't know. I'm delighted these have been released. Are you just, you
Oh,
seem,
yeah.
I'm a little disappointed, but you seem
I
happier.
objectively am very excited about
Yeah.
this because this is I think we've been playing kinda cat and mouse for
Mhm.
the last few years about
Mhm.
this. A lot of this was spurred on, and I would say in mainstream culture, this disclosure
Yeah.
movement with Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, and then that kinda kickstarted these series of congressional hearings.
Mhm.
We know there are several members of Congress, one from Tennessee, one from Florida, who are on
Yes.
these committees,
Yes, yes,
who have
yes.
been pushing for the release of, what would eventually amount to Disclosure Day,
Right.
and
Right.
a firm announcement from the leaders of the country that
Right.
UA aliens
Mhm.
are real.
Right. Are aliens real? Tim Burchett,
That's it,
right,
yes.
representative from Tennessee,
Yeah.
has spoken out a lot about this, and he said, you may have heard this because it's such a great comment. If you've seen what I've seen, it would keep you up at night.
So
That's what he said. Well, I don't see anything here that's going to keep me up at night, but I know this is just the first wave.
yep.
I do have an open mind.
So
I am excited. It's
to
just
today, he actually I think he talked to News Nation. He said, "This is the tip of the iceberg."
okay. Okay.
So what that
Tip of the
means
iceberg.
so,
All right.
again, a big point of this is and you are encouraging it says it on the website, it says it on these documents that readers, viewers are encouraged to view this with your own eyes,
Yes.
draw your own
Yes.
conclusions.
Yes.
Be objective. The government is not here telling you, the Defense Department, this is what this is. These are just reports, videos, files, transcripts, audio, pieces of audio, and it's left up to us
Right.
to take away what we will from it.
Right. Now, Stephen Bassett has been a guest with us
Yeah.
many times, the first registered lobbyist in Washington, D.C. 30 years ago. He is a disclosure activist. He is convinced disclosure is coming soon. And that means the head of state is going to come out and say aliens are real. And here's what we know. He is convinced President Trump will be that head of
Yep.
state. And we know President Trump likes a lot of attention.
Yes.
So we will see if that happens. Then we had Captain Ron Janix with Contact in the Desert, a well-known ufologist and podcaster. And he said, nah, not going to happen.
Yep.
Don't hold your breath. There are others that say the president doesn't know because he is a temporary employee.
Mm.
He may know a little bit, but on a need to know basis.
Yeah.
And then we've got the movie coming out, Disclosure
Ooh,
Day, I
exciting.
think on June 12th. I can't wait.
Yep.
Um,
We'll take a field trip and go see
we'll
it.
take a field trip and
Yeah.
go see it. That I think is going to be mind blowing, although it's fiction, right? The Age of Disclosure that came out last year is a
Yes. Very
documentary
impressive.
with very credible people and something to know about on We're Not Alone. We've talked to so many great people. Captain Robert Salas with the Malmstrom incident, where
Yeah.
he witnessed UFOs turning off disabling Minuteman missiles, um, that this is just a huge cover up to protect us.
Well, he even said his statements, the statements of his other service members were buried for decades,
Right.
and he was afraid to talk about it
Right.
for
Right.
years.
Exactly. And when it comes to Roswell, going back to 1947, Captain Ron Janix told us he believes these people because on their deathbeds,
Yeah.
they
They
talk
let it
about
out.
it, they let it out on their deathbeds. Why would you do that if it wasn't true? People, who say they did see aliens.
Yeah.
It was a spacecraft. It wasn't a freaking weather balloon. This is for you to decide.
Yeah.
Though. We're just presenting the information.
And
Wow.
I think, yeah, this is again objectively an incredible day.
Yeah.
We've
Are
kind
you a believer now?
ooh. So here's my thing. And again, I've worked with you on the show for a year. We have talked to some
Yeah.
incredible people. You and I have a lot of discussions off camera.
We do.
And we come in here into this room, which I think is healthy, with very different opinions of the disclosure movement and UAPs in general, and
Mhm.
the possibility, the existence of alien life. This is my opinion from today. I think that while this is a wonderful release, can you trust the government just kind of giving it to you in this very neat package? It's with the fun little fonts. It's typed up. It's presented. It says, "Hey, here it is." I am skeptical, so I would align myself with Captain Ron.
Yeah.
That's I don't buy it,
Yeah.
but I find this fascinating. These do not appear to be AI videos and images.
No, I
These
agree
these
with
feel
you.
like real
They do.
reports and
They
documents,
do.
and we take a lot from it. So while this is extremely interesting, it is intriguing, and I hope more people look into this because it deserves attention.
It does.
I am of the camp that, I'm
Yeah.
not exactly, I don't feel like the government would be as forthcoming. Now, whether we'll get disclosure day with President Trump or a future president, who knows? But again, like we've talked about so much over the last year, it's so important for these things to come to light because for so long, it was a laugh. It was a joke,
It was the stigma is
Yeah.
horrible.
I mean, I
Yeah.
just watched Independence Day
Mhm.
recently,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think they're on Air Force One or something, after the White House gets blown
Yeah.
up, and Bill Paxton's like, "There's no Area 51. I don't know what you're talking about." And
Yeah.
his Joint Chiefs are like, "Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of a need to know basis, and you were never told
That's
because
right.
you didn't need to know."
That's right.
So, is this one of those cases? Who knows? But again, May-Kay, I'm with you. This is a huge day, which is why
It
we're in here
is.
kind of doing
We've
this
been waiting
special
for it. We're glad it's here. I'm a little disappointed,
Oh,
but I'm expecting great things, and I kind of am a believer.
Yep.
Kind of, because the more I know, though, the more I don't know. There's so much to this, folks, and it could just be spiritual, and it could be from another dimension, our own planet, adversaries. It could be anything, right? Doesn't have to be from another galaxy. We don't know.
we don't know.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thank you for watching this very do I get to do your sign off
You
today?
can do the sign off
Thank you for
today.
watching this very special episode of We Are Not Alone. Please draw your own conclusions. And as May-Kay says every time, see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.